Hi everybody, welcome back to The Limit Breakdown, where we break down the latest in TV, movies, and everything going on in entertainment. I'm your host, Migs.
I'm Sid.
And today we're going to be doing our review of the new series on Amazon Prime based on the video games, Fallout. So our too long didn't watch review of Fallout is 4.5. We thought that this series had compelling and complex characters, captivating storytelling, and it had a lot of rich world building.
Unfortunately, some of these subplots were very convoluted and confusing. The lore, as expansive as it was, what definitely favored people that were familiar with the games. And personally, Maximus had a very punchable essence. Because of those reasons, we gave it 4.5 hearts. Stick around after our intro for a deep dive, spoiler-filled review of Fallout. Welcome back, guys, to our review of Fallout. We're kicking off with Migs with his initial thoughts. Migs?
All right. So first, let me tell you a little bit about what the series is about, right?
What the series is about.
So, Fallout is set in a post-apocalyptic future where the world was decimated by nuclear war, and people have to live in underground bunkers to protect themselves from radiation, mutants, and all the other nastiness stemming from the fallout of the nuclear war. The main character of the show is Lucy McLean, who is from Vault 33. That's what it was. Vault 33. That's right. Her dad was Hank McLean, who is the overseer of the vault. We've got a couple other characters. Maximus, who was from the Brotherhood of Steel.
I just call it the Brotherhood.
Yeah. And then Cooper Howard, aka the Ghoul, who was apparently affected by the fallout and radiation that had melted his face. It hasn't really been clearly explained. But anyway, so coming into this show, didn't really play the video games, but I was familiar with the storyline. Actually, my wife Nicole is a huge fan of the series, and she was very excited about the TV show. I've only known about the series in passing, but I know that it is very, very rich in the lore, and I've always been fascinated by a lot of the background stories for it. The big thing with Fallout is that each one of the bunkers had like a different experiment that was ran on them, and so as you're going through in the games, like you're exploring all these different bunkers and you're finding like all these different situations that people were put in the bunkers, and I mean some of them were messed up. So but moving on to the show, like I said, being relatively new to the franchise and exploring it for the first time, they hooked me in pretty well with the story. Lucy basically having lived her entire life in this bunker, they were supposed to be doing an exchange with the other bunker, Vault 32.
Yep.
And apparently every so often they would exchange people for the purposes of breeding.
Yep.
And so she was supposed to be married, and that other vault had apparently been invaded by raiders, and shenanigans ensued. So now they're realizing that the outside is now coming into the inside, and so her dad, the overseer, was kidnapped by one of the bandits. So she's wanting to get him back, and yeah, so that's how the story kind of kicked off. And it's kind of like a fish out of water story a little bit at first because, you know, she is very much this sheltered, literally sheltered character that is living in a very corporatized, very idealized version of it. And man, just all of the subtle commentary in the background, it was just absolutely amazing to me, just from the I guess you can call it a criticism of unfettered capitalism to where in the advert of nuclear fallout, you know, people were selling off spots and safety to the highest bidder, which take with that what you want.
You got money, you will survive.
Yeah,
that's about it.
Well, but you know, the story really got me from the beginning. It captured my attention. Seeing the different factions, I thought was really cool. The Brotherhood of Steel was pretty interesting. Kind of this militaristic, almost religious organization that was their main thing was to try to capture old technology. And Maximus, the guy with the your favorite character. He was just made some dumb decisions.
Some.
And then my favorite character was Cooper Howard, also known as the Ghoul. I thought when they were going back and forth with his storyline, showing how he was before the Fallout and showing what he's basically become, like it's such an interesting character transition. And you know, I think I'm really going to enjoy as the seasons progress to see how it was that he went from being this idyllic, almost noble character to this, you know,
slinger.
Well, I mean, he's just a badass.
Yeah. Fair.
But what about you?
So I came in the show completely blind. I had never played the game, didn't know anything about it. All I knew was about nuclear fallout. That's it. The TV show itself hooked me. I would say the first episode, I was like, this is interesting. Episode 2 got me. When then I started, you know, connecting the pieces. They introduced more characters. That's what got me. And I'm like, okay, this seems like a pretty intriguing show. Each character has... Most shows and movies do this where they have initial characters, ideas of what they are, and then hopefully they progress and change for the better or worse, depending on where the story goes. And I think this show did just that for each character, as well as building a fantastic... the world building was fantastic. If you wanted to go into the Brotherhood of Steel and then explore what they are and how they do stuff, you can. How the ghouls worked, and then like you said, how each vault had their own experiences, which you find out at the last episode, which was insane to me. You know, that just those few world building things is really amazing and fascinating. While I'm at it, what I'm going to do is go through some of the specific characters and actors and kind of give you my opinions on those. So number 1, Lucy McClain, who was played by Ella Purnell, famously for playing Jinx in the League of Legends Arcane TV show.
Okay.
She was a voice actor for that. I thought she did a really awesome job. You know, I know you mentioned earlier where she was very like naive and sheltered, but you can see as the show progresses, she wants to keep that idealism, but understanding the outside world.
Yeah.
There was a scene where she's like, every person I've met across has betrayed me. How can I trust you?
Yeah.
And so she's understanding that she should be cautious while still maintaining her naivety, which is kind of wholesome.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it sucks for her, but it is wholesome at the end of the day. Cooper Howard the Ghoul, played by Walton Goggins, which is the weirdest name I've ever heard in my entire life. He is Cecil in Invincible.
Oh.
He's a voice actor for Cecil. He's also done something called Justified. I've never seen it. Apparently it's a very popular show.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
he's in Justified, but he is Cecil in the TV show Invincible, also on Amazon. I think as you mentioned, he did a fantastic job switching between what he used to be before the fallout.
Yeah.
You know, an actor, kind of had this noble lifestyle and then noble mentality to basically just doing whatever he wants and going with the flow. So that that character and that actor, one of my favorites. And of course, my man Moises Arias, who he played Norma Clean, Lucy's brother, who stayed in the vault, and finally he's like, yo, we should do something about this vault. You know, pick up the pace here a little bit. I love Moises.
Uh-huh.
He has been in a lot of things that I love. One of my favorite ones is Ender's Game. If you haven't seen it, he was in Ender's Game. He was
Okay.
an anti-hero type person. Also, famously, he is from Hannah Montana. Hannah Montana.
Really?
Montana. Yep.
That's funny. I
Disney
didn't know that.
Channel's Hannah Montana. He was this big when he started Hannah Montana. Now he's this big. So, Short Kings for Life. He is 1 inch shorter than me.
Hey.
2 inches, but you know, Short Kings for Life. Great actor.
Oh, you're taller than someone.
But
I only say this because I'm
you're like an inch taller than
Yeah.
me. So,
short kings for life.
But I think he's a great actor. He did a great job towards the end. He always plays like an angsty type roles nowadays, but you can definitely tell in this role he did portray that, but to the point where he's like, yo, we got to figure this stuff out. And I just love the way he portrayed it. And there's some other great actors in there. The other overseer, I forgot her name, that became overseer after Hank. She is Deadpool's mom.
Yes.
In the Deadpool movies, so she was in there, and there was a few other people as well. So those important people in the. Oh, and I forgot. The reason I forgot is stupid Maximus.
Your favorite character?
All right, here's my rant on Maximus. The guy who played Aaron Moten, did a great job. He did such a good job that I don't like the character. He has been in a few things I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
He looks like a knockoff Denzel Washington / Cuba Gooding Jr. to me. But his actions, well, the character's Maximus' actions in the movies, there was a lot of times where he could have just done something different and the outcome would have been better, probably in his favor, but he did not. I understand when he let his knight die. That one was understandable. But then when they radio it in, they're like, yo, where's your knight? He could have just been like, look, my knight died. I'm going to complete this mission.
Yeah.
And just done the thing. At least they know. Because that was his plan from the beginning. And then when his when the other squire came, which I really liked, I thought that character was fantastic. And their bond was pretty good until he was just like, I'm not Thaddeus, I'm Maximus. I understand what he was trying to do, but I don't know, man. It's a very punchable face.
I think particularly in Maximus's case, I'm gonna come to his defense a little bit. All right.
I understand his actions. I understand. I do not condone.
Yeah.
I understand. Do not condone. All right. Go.
Yeah. I don't know if they would have allowed him to continue the mission had he told them that Thaddeus died.
He could have just ran away. He ran away anyways.
So the objective, I'm with you on that. I think that had he just completed the mission and then come back and then been like, hey, I'm not Thaddeus, but this is what happened to Thaddeus. You know, he shit the bed. I finished the mission. Boom. Whatever. I think he thought that by answering the radio that they were going to send another knight, and which is probably what they would have done. So I kind of get that on that aspect, but I think he kind of shot himself in the foot, or at the very least, maybe halfway through, he could have been like, hey, I've been following this mission. I've got a couple of leads. This is my progress, and I'm going to continue until I finish this mission.
Okay.
And
good intentions, bad actions.
Yeah.
When they went to the other vault, where they weren't captured. I forgot what number.
It was
vault
a medical.
they were
I
at.
think it was Vault 4.
Yeah, Vault 4, something like that. And then when he saw Lucy being captured, he's like, oh man, I got to do what's right, and I'm going to rescue her. And he just goes on a rampage.
Gunslinging, yeah.
Like, not his fault. He went in to help his friend. Just, Take a breather, bro.
I mean, in fairness, that was probably like the one decent vault out of.
I don't know. 3 hours over there. I don't understand the 2 noses though. That one was kind of weird to me.
I think it was just that they were all experimented on, and so all had diversity of effects. But yeah, and then going back into the other situation, I think he was basically he thought he had built up enough rapport with the second scribe to kind of come clean, and then Buddy was just kind of like, nah.
He should have even told him then.
Yeah.
Or here's another part: when Lucy asked him his name, she doesn't even know what the Brotherhood is.
Yeah.
He's like, my name's Thaddeus. Why? You could have said like, my name's Rock.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have mattered. I love the pacing of the show.
Yes.
Like I said, it only hooked me in. I found episode 1 intriguing, but I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I'm gonna like this season or episode 2. Sorry, where they bring a lot more of the pieces together. Then it got me hooked, and as the show went on, the curiosity of the backstories, the curiosity of what's hiding behind that door, what's hiding behind that vault. Why is everybody after the head?
Yeah.
That curiosity got to me, and I think that's what, for me, it made me wanting more. And even at the end, when they finally explain everything, that all the vaults, each vault had their own experiments.
Yeah.
That they do. The reason they're after the head is because they want the clean energy and things like that. Why the Brotherhood wants the head. It made me, I'm like, oh, it's coming together, or it has come together, and then I want more. Okay, what happens now?
Yeah.
Right, and that pacing was phenomenal.
Yeah, the great advantage that they have, especially from the source material, is that this particular series, this particular world, is so heavy in the lore. And the crazy thing about it is all of these characters were created for the show. Like, none of these characters are mainstays in the in the video game series, because in the video game you play yourself. So in the video games, you're not playing a character. You yourself are a vault dweller. And so all of these characters are original creations for the show. So they just took the show and they created these characters based on the lore and based on the stuff, and they were able to craft this well orchestrated and well put together story, using the world that was already existing, and they're weaving it into it. The creators of the game are saying that the stuff in the TV show is canon to the series.
Oh wow, this is actually fantastic. Having seen a lot of video games to movies, comics to movies, comics to TV shows. Things, there's a lot of things that producers drop, and sometimes they bring in their own flair, which is perfectly fine. Bringing your own flair to something is fine as long as you keep the essence. But when a show does so well like this, and the actual games are like, this is now canon because it for somebody like me who hasn't seen it, it's just a good show. For someone like Nicole, who's a fan of the show, of the game, it's an
enhancement.
It's an enhancement. It's a cherry on top of like, this is why I love these games. This is why we're nerds.
But yeah, no. Like I said, that's what I really appreciated most of all. You kind of went into a little bit of a deep dive on Maximus. For me, the most compelling character was Cooper Howard, aka the Ghoul, for the opposite reasons. And I will say this: it's every character, even though some of their actions were infuriating and questionable, every character was rich and complex. Even Maximus himself, he had a very interesting background. He was
survivor of the
he was a survivor of a second nuclear explosion that happened many years after the initial. Cooper Howard was around for the initial set of bombs that went off, and it reveals that he's something like 200 years old. They haven't quite revealed how it is that he's still alive.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I found kind of weird is, and I understand that they can only do so much in 8 episodes, hour each. As rich and expansive as that lore is, I didn't really understand how ghouls worked. At the beginning, I thought it was like magic. Like I thought they're like reading a book of like magic and came to life, and I was like, because I had no idea what this movie was about, or the TV show was about. So how the ghouls work and like why are they around? Because there's more than just him. He's the ghoul, but there's other ghouls around. They survive by drinking some sort of liquid.
Some type of serum, type of medication.
But then that I don't know if it's the same one or if it's a different one. The dude that got his leg broke, he had it, and he basically can heal instantly, which I think so can. So they turn into ghouls.
So it hasn't been revealed. It hasn't been explained in the show as of yet. But I think it's going to be revealed at a later on that the ghouls are the result of one of the experiments in one of the vaults. That's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Because it seems like it's like, people that have radioactive.
Well, because Cooper Howard, if you look at him specifically, right? His backstory was his wife worked for Vault-Tec.
Yeah.
And she was doing all of these maneuvers to make sure that they had a spot in one of the quote unquote good
best
vaults.
ones.
Yeah. So obviously he's not in the vault anymore. I don't know where his wife and where his daughter's at. He
doesn't even know.
Yeah. So something happened in the process of those last 200 years. So it's not out of the question to say maybe they ended up in a vault initially. And, at some point he could have been part of some of those experiments.
Yeah, fair enough.
And, especially this far down the road, once that vault open up, like, it's not inconceivable that the other ghouls emerged from that. But from what I understood too is a lot of it has also to do with their exposure to radiation.
Yeah, that I thought it was just a radiation poisoning type thing, that you become immortal, but you need the little thing to keep living. That was my overall. What about your final thoughts?
So final thoughts. This is a great show. Even if you're not familiar with the Fallout games, if you're just looking for a good entertaining show, post-apocalyptic, as those are kind of popular nowadays. But it's a great show with great characters, great storytelling, and a rich world. There's several YouTube videos that go into in-depth explaining the lore of each vault. You should check them out. Like some of these vaults have like some fucked up experiments. Like they have some messed up stuff. So like the lore is really, really cool, and I'm more interested to see how they're going to implement more and more of that stuff. They teased the next part of the series, which is going to be taking place in Las Vegas, and one of the entries in the game was Fallout New Vegas. So that's going to be really interesting to see how they implement a lot of the elements from that part of the series into the show. So I'm really excited, but overall, man, the show was great. Thoroughly enjoyed it. All the performances were great. So
yeah, same thing. Like I said, I came in blind to this show. I really enjoyed it. It was grasping. It had pretty good action. Characters were expansive. Maximus was punchy, and it had everything that you need in a good TV show, and you do not need to watch anything. And I'm a sucker for post-apocalyptic stuff. I think I don't know why I've noticed this. Any scenery that has to do with post-apocalyptic stuff, where there's high rises and stuff with like grass and those
debris or
not what are those plants that like climb?
Oh, like vines?
Like vines. So like skyscrapers with like vines all over them. To me, that's just beautiful scenery. I love things like that. So I genuinely love this show. Those were our thoughts on the new Amazon Prime show Fallout.
Let us know what you guys thought of it as well. Let us know if you enjoyed it, if you're looking forward to the next season, any thoughts or comments that you had. And as always, don't forget to hit that like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us out in the algorithm. We appreciate any input, and we look forward to seeing you guys next time with our next video. And we'll catch you next time with more content.